So Miles Morales is pretty popular. I mean, he's got his own movie coming out into the Spider-Verse. So what's the deal with his playability on the PlayStation 4? So is Miles Morales going to be playable at all in the upcoming PlayStation 4 video game, or is this something that they're going to be handling down the road in a potential sequel? Which I have no doubt we're going to be getting a sequel because this game is going to sell ridiculous amounts. So yeah, it's interesting because this has always been something that's been brought up ever since we found out Miles Morales was in this, when we saw him at the end of, I believe it was the first trailer, was it, that we saw him at the end of? That was automatically a giant takeaway, and we now know that this Peter Parker is much older, much wiser, and far along into his career, and Miles Morales is even older than many of us thought he would be. So naturally you start looking at this, and in a most recent interview, when directly asked about it, when different people from Insomniac are asked about it, can we play as Miles Morales? They just keep saying, you'll find out when the game comes out. You'll find out September 7th, which honestly is very interesting, because they don't want to say no, which makes me think there will be a degree of playability with Miles Morales. Now, what extent, we don't really know, because they've teased playing as different characters, and they don't want to go too far into how this is going to be handled. But Miles Morales, we don't know the extent of his character development. Does he already have powers? We don't directly know that. If they say yes, we need to see it in action. If they say no, well, they could still be lying. So that's kind of the big question there. And when you start thinking about it that way, there's a possibility that maybe they could Metal Gear Solid to us, where we're seeing Spider-Man and all this, but there's a real possibility where maybe halfway through the game we start playing as Miles because something happens to Peter. We don't really know what the angle and the story they're taking here is, but I just find it interesting that they won't outright confirm we don't play as him, which makes me think there's something more to this. Maybe one of the DLCs, that's their plan. Maybe we'll see the birth of Miles Morales as Spider-Man, or maybe he's already Spider-Man and Peter's teaching him. We don't know. But I think there's something worth exploring there, and there's some reason that they're not telling us.